When two kids destroy a CEO's proposal but their mom's revenge will leave you speechless, the grand ballroom glimmered with chandeliers that hung like jewels from the ceiling, bathing everything in a golden glow. Executives in tailored suits buzzed around, speaking in hushed tones about numbers and deals, the kind of talk that could change lives. But just as the CEO stood ready to unveil his ambitious project, chaos erupted. Two kids no older than 8 and 6 burst through the double doors, eyes wide with mischief. The little boy waved a glittery sign that read, "No more robots." His sister, clutching a plush dinosaur, yelled, "Dinosaur power." The room went silent. Gasps filled the air, like a collective inhale at a magic show. Moments later, laughter erupted from the crowd, but the CEO's face twisted in horror. This was no entertainment, these were the children of the CEO's greatest rival. Instantly, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Whispers spread like wildfire. Heads turned. Everyone was captivated. The kids didn't look scared, though, they looked utterly alive, bouncing on their little feet like the world was their playground. The confusion in the room morphed into a buzzing unease as the CEO's eyes darkened. But what no one saw was the woman quietly watching from a distance. She leaned against a marble pillar, her expression inscrutable. This was their mother, known for her quiet strength and fiercely protective nature. As her children wreaked delightful havoc, she felt the familiar tightening in her chest. It wasn't just a sense of pride. It was a delicious thrill, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years, the thrill of rebellion, of standing against the corporate giants who thought they could control everything, even their lives. Just as the CEO struggled to regain control, her thoughts spiraled. What was she prepared to do? The chaos made her heart race. She clenched her hands, feeling the cool marble dig into her palm. A plan began to form, wild and unpredictable. The room felt electric, each face a mixture of shock and amusement. Eager eyes watched her every move, waiting to see if she'd rush in or if she'd let the storm brew a little longer. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the tension sparked, the kids continued their raucous protest against a future adorned with cold steel and robots. The CEO's composure was slipping, his voice drowned out by the innocent chants of the little ones. The crowd began to murmur among themselves, eyes darting between the children and their mother. What was she thinking? Would she intervene or stand back? Suddenly, she moved, quick and purposeful. The air thickened with anticipation, every heart beating faster. What would she unleash upon the unsuspecting corporate world? Would her revenge be as whimsical as her kids' antics or something far deeper, darker? As they bared their teeth against the odds, the moment was charged, and everyone held their breath for what would come next. Would this be a mother defending her children, or was it the beginning of something bigger? The dance was just starting, and it felt like the first note of a symphony ready to shatter all expectations. In the charged silence that followed, the mother's heart raced like a wild stallion. She took a step forward, her eyes locking onto the CEO, a predator sizing up its prey. The murmurs in the crowd faded into a low hum as the executives turned to watch her. The laughter of her children lingered in the air, sweet and rebellious, while the room filled with uncertainty. What would their mother do next? She felt a surge of adrenaline flow through her veins, a fire ignited by years of watching others dictate the terms of her existence. She adjusted her position, her heels echoing against the polished marble floor, a deliberate counterpoint to the chaos her kids had created. Every step resonated with determination. You think you can just walk in here, flaunting your wealth and power? She shouted, her voice slicing through the tension like a knife. The murmurs escalated into whispers, eyes wide with disbelief. You think your new robots will take over and erase what it is to be human? Gasps rippled through the room. The CEO's stern facade cracked slightly, revealing a flicker of anger beneath. He opened his mouth to retort, but she was a whirlwind, relentless and fueled by years of frustration and countless missed opportunities. My children may seem small, she continued, but their voices are louder than the mechanical clanking of your fancy machines. They're here to remind you that humanity cannot be replaced. Her breath came in quick bursts, each word a drumbeat in the symphony of rebellion. The children, sensing their mother's energy, cheered louder, raising their homemade signs. No more robots. They yelled in unison, their tiny voices reverberating off the gilded walls. The crowd was no longer just spectators but participants in a human uprising. As if propelled by a collective spirit, an executive in the back stood up, his face painted with a mix of surprise and newfound insight. "She's right," he bellowed, surprising everyone, including himself. "We've lost sight of what it means to connect. It's not just about profits, it should be about people." Loud murmurs of agreement filled the room, fueling the atmosphere with a palpable energy. Others chimed in, expressing doubts about the very project the CEO had championed. The tables were turning, and the shift was gathering momentum. But the CEO, regaining his composure, felt the walls closing in. Anger flared in his eyes, but it was tempered with something else, a recognition of an impending threat to his carefully crafted empire. "You think you can just disrupt my presentation and walk away with your heads held high?" he challenged, his voice dripping with disdain. "You'll regret this." "Regret what?" she shot back, refusing to back down. The crowd was now fully behind her, rallying as if they were part of a bigger movement. "This is about time for change. Change that starts today." Her breathing steadied, her voice solidifying into a beacon of hope. All around, people were nodding, their faces lighting up with the spark of realization. But beneath her fiery stance, doubts wormed into her mind. Was she truly ready to face the aftermath of this confrontation? Did she have the strength to challenge the system that had suppressed them for so long? Just as the CEO was about to respond, a loud crash erupted from the entrance, causing everyone to jump. The crowd turned, startled. A group of tech employees, formerly silent witnesses, were surging forward, brandishing their own signs, each one adorned with slogans echoing her children's protest. The storm was not just in her heart, it was building, shaping itself into something far greater than she had envisioned. And in that electric moment, she knew, this wasn't just a collision of ideals. It was the beginning of a war, a clarion call for everyone who felt overlooked and undervalued. With her heart hammering, she looked around the room, to the faces of her children, to the divided crowd. They were on the cusp of something monumental, and she was at the forefront. But what would become of them now? Would the chaos lead to change, or would it spell disaster? As the dust settled, the tension rose once more. Something far more sinister might be lurking in the shadows of this seemingly innocent rebellion. What would be the next move, and who else was watching? Chaos erupted in the room. As the tech employees pushed forward, the air crackled with electric uncertainty. Signs waved like flags of a newfound uprising. The CEO's face twisted in fury, shock barely masking the fear of losing control. He stood at the podium, fists clenched, realizing the tide was turning against him. "Enough!" he barked, his voice echoing against the cold walls. But his words fell flat, drowned out by the chorus of rebellion rising before him. The mother felt a ripple of exhilaration sweep through the crowd, a shared determination igniting in every heart. They weren't just there for her, they were there for themselves, each echoing a silent battle cry for sanity in a world overrun by technology. Behind her, she could see her children's faces light up with pride. They were no longer the innocent bystanders but soldiers in this unforeseen movement. Their tiny hands grasped the cardboard signs with fierce tenacity, the giggles from just moments ago replaced by serious expressions that mirrored her own resolve. Suddenly, a voice from the back called out, "What does it mean to be human anymore?" It was a tremor, weak but significant, pulling at the heartstrings of the crowd. A woman stepped forward, her face drawn but passionate. "We've lost our way. We're worth more than just products on an assembly line." The mother felt chills course through her. Was this the voice she had longed to hear among the hushed crowds? The impact of her initial brave stand was spreading like wildfire, igniting hesitance into courage. Yet, she realized the danger of raising fists against an empire determined to maintain its grasp on power. The CEO's lips curled into a mocking smile as he observed the chaos spiral. "You're going to fight me with ideas and words? Know this, you're playing a game you win," he declared, voice booming with feigned confidence. "You're nothing but a flash in the pan." She swallowed hard, her heart tightening. Yes, she had sparks of hope, but the looming shadow of manufactured authority weighed heavily. "We are not a flash," she breathed, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "We are a storm, and storms change landscapes." But inside, fear crept like a vine, curling around her resolve. What if this storm could do more harm than good? What if, in stirring this revolt, she was putting her children in danger? The thought gnawed at her, sucking away at the air in her lungs. It all felt surreal, a dangerous game that teetered on the edge of success or calamity. And she was right there in the fire. The CEO's gaze was piercing, and she knew she couldn't retreat now, not when freedom hung in the balance. Another crash resounded behind her. An expensive glass vase toppled, shattered, echoing the shattering of the status quo. She turned to see the CEO's security team edging closer, faces set in grim determination. It was becoming clear that the movement had attracted attention from forces ready to silence them. "Everyone, stay together," she urged, a tone of solid authority emerging from her. "This isn't just about robots, this is about our future." But there, battered and chaos-worn, she felt another ripple of dread, a warning that dark forces conspired against them even within the ranks of their own rebellion. A distant figure on the outskirts stood watching, their expression masked and unreadable, an ominous presence that raised her hair on end.as. The tension tightened like a coiled spring, she felt time freeze, the moment stretching thin. They were no longer just fighting against the CEO, they were about to uncover a hidden battle within their ranks. What secrets did the lurking figure know? Would they help or sabotage this fight for humanity? Darkness pressed in, thick and suffocating. The mother felt the weight of panic and uncertainty drown out her thoughts. The crowd surged forward, but a distant scream ruptured the moment, a sound that cut through the din and sent a jolt of fear shooting through her veins. "Get back! All of you!" The voice was harsh, a command laced with authority. The CEO's guards pushed through the mass, their bodies a wall of muscle and intimidation. She could see the glimmer of badges, they meant business. The atmosphere shifted. The festive spirit of rebellion turned into a tempest of chaos. Her children clung to her, eyes wide. They weren't just spectators anymore, they were part of something bigger, yet the gnawing realization struck her. How could she protect them in this storm? "Stay close," she shouted, adrenaline priming her voice. The frantic energy of the crowd roiled around her. People were shouting, shoving, desperate to hold on to the spark of rebellion while grappling with the fear of impending violence. The mother felt like the eye of a hurricane, everything swirled around her, but she clutched her children firmly. "Please. Think. This can't end like this." A man near the front yelled, but his plea was swallowed by angry voices demanding action. The CEO's sneering expression only fueled their anger, a match thrown into gasoline. "What's happening?" one of her children whispered, eyes darting from the guards to their mother. She knelt, looking into their youthful faces, her heart breaking at their innocence. "It's okay," she assured them, although uncertainty dripped from her words. "We're fighting for something, for all of us." The pointed expressions of the guards froze her breath. They moved stealthily, responding to the crowd like trained wolves, their gazes fixed not on the uncertain individuals, but on the angry mass as a whole. Then, a figure in the back stepped forward. The crowd's noise faded, replaced by a tense silence. It was the woman from earlier, her eyes fierce and her hair wild. If we want to change things, we can't do it fighting like this. We need to be smart. But fear shifted into confusion. The crowd wavered, uncertainty clouding the unity they'd begun to build. The mother could sense the tension, a taut string ready to snap. "What do you mean?" she called out, but doubt crept into her thoughts. Was smart enough when facing the colossal machine of the corporation, then it happened, a blinding flash, like lightning ripping through the storm. A gunshot rang out, clear and terrifying. Absolute silence swallowed the crowd, fear instantly freezing them in place. The mother's heart pounded in her chest as she instinctively shielded her children with her body. An eerie calm followed the chaos, replaced by screams of panic. People surged in different directions like ants scattering from an anthill. Her chest ached with urgency. "We have to get out of here," she shouted, realizing that this act was no longer just about rebellion. It had escalated into a fight for survival. The guards pressed forward, their eyes wild as they fought to maintain control. The looming figure in the back now stepped closer, not retreating but advancing through the panic. Who were they? Suddenly, the woman's voice rang out again, sharper than ever. "No more running. We need to take a stand together." That twist cut deep. Could unity be salvaged from this wreckage? Where were the lines drawn between fear and bravery? She felt the tug of conflicting emotions within her, resistance against the urge to flee, driven by the need to protect her children and a stubborn cry for justice and change. As armed men moved closer, she turned towards her children, steely resolve ignited in her eyes. "Now's our chance. We can't just stand here." But the lurking figure advanced even further. In that chaos, she saw something in their hand, a device, something unrecognizable, and felt a chill run down her spine. What did it mean? Was it a weapon to defend, or a tool to betray? The mother's heart raced as she faced the truth. In this battle of humanity against technology, could the ultimate betrayal come from within their own ranks? As the tension coiled tighter, the choice loomed before her. What would she do next? The chaos erupted all around her, people darting in every direction like leaves caught in a storm. The mother's grip tightened around her children's trembling shoulders as adrenaline surged through her veins. Their eyes darted back and forth, trying to comprehend the reality of the scene unfolding before them, a reality drenched in fear. "Stay together," she yelled again, voice barely cutting through the cacophony of panic. The way the guards moved, sharp and calculated, sent a chill straight to her core. They didn't just want to control the crowd, they wanted to instill fear, to crush any flickers of rebellion under their boots. The device in the woman's hand glinted ominously in the chaotic shadows, and the mother couldn't shake the feeling that it was a key to either salvation or despair. Suddenly, a surge from behind made her stumble forward. She spun, shielding her kids as bodies collided, a mass of terrified faces, some screaming, some crying out for help, all running for their lives. The swirling panic swallowed them deeper. They were no longer just spectators, they were part of the fray, entwined in the very fabric of desperation. "Where do we go?" Her eldest child's voice cracked with panic. "Anywhere but here," she replied, fighting to keep her own fear from spilling into her words. Up ahead, the chaos stretched out painfully, and she could see the guards converging like predators closing in on their prey. "Just follow me." She started to weave through the crowd, each step pushing her closer to a wall of chaos. The device-carrying woman seemed to shine in the crowd's tumult, her presence magnetic. "You can't run," she shouted, voice cutting through the madness. "This fight needs you." The mother hesitated, glancing back at her children. "We need to leave now." But a part of her was drawn in. Could she abandon this flickering hope for change? Could she really let fear dictate their fate, a sudden shout erupted nearby, and a man stumbled into view, clutching his arm as blood streamed down. The sight sent a shiver down her spine. In that moment, the fragility of life was laid bare. The mother felt the walls closing in, and the instinct to protect her children surged fiercely. "We need to get out now." But the woman's voice rang like a beacon. "Stay. Help us take back our voices." Just as she shifted toward them, a heavy thump echoed in the air, and another guard went down, taken out by the chaos. The mother's heart raced as she recognized the danger surrounding them. She couldn't allow her children to be part of the violence. Immediate survival was paramount. "This is insanity. We're not ready for this." Through the haze, she caught sight of a gap behind a cluster of fallen crates, the only escape they had. She gripped her children's hands tighter. "Over there." Pointing desperately, she navigated toward the opening. They dashed toward the gap, adrenaline pounding in her ears. But as they approached, something shifted in the crowd, a pressure tightening around them. The guards, alerted and furious, began to backtrack. The mother felt panic claw at her from the inside. Would they make it? Suddenly, the woman darted past them, locking eyes with the mother. "Fight or flight, you have to decide." Breathless, the mother halted. What choice lay ahead? Fear bubbled fiercely within her, but so did anger, the righteous kind, the kind that demanded to be felt. "Fight," she whispered, realizing her power, her role in this battle for their lives. "Let us show them what we're made of." A fire ignited in her chest as she turned back to her children, but just as they seemed set to charge, the device-wielding woman unleashed a blinding pulse. A wave of energy radiated out, sparking the chaos, and in that moment, the world stood still. Everything froze, caught in a haze of light and confusion. It was like time was bending. What was waiting on the other side? As her heart pounded, the realization slapped her, raw and brutal, that light could tear apart their lives, or it might be the key to hold everything together. What lay ahead? Would they fight for their freedom, or flee into the dark? The choice loomed, heavier than ever as she held her children tight. Would she stand with them or would she run? The pulse cut through the chaos like a knife through silence. Light rippled, distorting the very fabric of reality, and for a heartbeat, her world hung suspended. Then, it crashed down, and the cacophony returned. The smell of smoke filled her nostrils, mingling with fear and sweat. The momentary stillness had shattered everything around them. Screaming surged anew like a wild river. Eyes darted in every direction. The guards, now equally stunned, appeared unsure of their next steps. What just happened? Her eldest whispered, wide-eyed. I don't know," she stammered, squeezing her children tighter. "We stay close." As if out of nowhere, a brutal yank pulled at her jacket. She turned to see a young man, dirty and wild-eyed, emerging from the shadows. "Follow me," he implored, urgency in his voice. He gestured for them to flee deeper into the throng. "They're regrouping. We have to move." Torn between fear and the flicker of hope ignited by his words, the mother glanced at her children. "Do we trust him? Mom, please." The pleading in her son's voice compelled her to nod. "Okay. Let us go." They sprinted, the man leading them through narrow alleys carved from desperation. Each corner turned revealed horror flashes of violence, people losing themselves to panic. But amid the tumult, there was a palpable energy, a current of resistance weaving through the madness. As they passed battered storefronts, a sudden explosion roared in the distance. She felt her heart race, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Adrenaline rushed through her, keeping her feet moving, desperate to escape the tide of chaos threatening to pull them under. "Through here!" the young man yelled, pointing to a decrepit building. They followed him inside, the door swinging shut with a heavy thud that echoed like a heartbeat. Inside, the air crackled with tension. A group of rebels huddled, whispering feverishly. "We have to hit them while they're distracted," one shouted, gripping a hastily written plan. Look what we found. The young man gestured, a spark of pride lighting his tone. They're with me. We can rally together. The mother's heart plummeted. This was not the refuge she imagined. No, no, she insisted, stepping forward. We came to escape, not to fight. They'll come for us. A woman in the group silenced her with a stare, fierce and unwavering. And what are you going to do instead? Wait until they come to take everything from you? You have a choice to make. She felt the weight of those words pressing down, simmering with truth. Abandon hope and safety for battle? Risk everything for a flicker of change? The struggle wore heavy on her, but the thought of running away only to watch others suffer ignited something deep within her. Her children's faces, still wide with fear, reminded her of all that was at stake. We can howl at the void, or we can roar together. Called a ragged voice from the back, the whispers of the room buzzed like angry bees around her. Could she run, leaving them behind in a world shaken by despair? Or did she find bravery in the fight, the unyielding desire to defy the dark? No! She shouted, surprising even herself. This fire, it can't burn alone. If we're to fight, we fight together. For them. A murmured agreement swept through the group, as though they were waiting for someone to ignite the spark. Were they in this storm together now? Could they turn the tide? But just then, a loud crash resounded outside, metal against metal, screams piercing the air. A new wave of guards stormed the entrance of the building, and in that moment, she knew. They didn't just want to control the crowd, they wanted her, a mother caught in a fatherless storm, a flame ready to either rise or flicker out. Get ready! Someone shouted, but a corner of her mind was turbulent. Did they really stand a chance against the looming shadows? Feeling the breath of danger tickling her neck, she clenched her fists. It was now or never. Could she truly harness the power rising in her chest? Could they turn the tide, or were they doomed to be swallowed by the dark? Her heart raced as the door buckled under the weight of the guards. They had only moments left. Was she ready to unleash hell for the sake of freedom? With uncertainty gripping her, she whispered to her children, "Stay behind me." But was she prepared for the fight that awaited them? As the door crumbled, a question hung in the air. Could they claim their freedom, or was this the final chapter in their battle? The door shattered inward, splinters flying like shrapnel. Tension exploded in the room, the rebels scrambling to grab makeshift weapons and shield themselves. The mother felt the instinctive pang of fear, but it twisted into a fierce resolve. Now! She shouted over the cacophony, her voice a rallying cry as she pushed forward. She couldn't let the guards see her weaken. She had to be a bastion for her children and those around her. In the dim light, she could make out the faces of the rebels, eyes wide and determined, filled with the same desperation she felt. They stood before her like a wall of solidarity, refusing to buckle under the weight of impending doom. Just as a hulking figure, the leader of the guards, stepped into the doorway, she felt the electricity of defiance crackling in the air. "Get back!" he barked. There was a moment's hesitation as the rebels shifted, fear creeping into the bones of the bravest of them. Words strung together, an unbroken chain of courage mingling with uncertainty. She stepped forward, eyes locked on the leader as the chaos continued behind her. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to run and hide, but she was pinned by something greater than her fear. She had a choice, a right to stand. "We will not be caged," she called out, her voice lifting above the noise. It echoed brightly, slicing through the desperation. The guards hesitated, caught off guard by the unexpected defiance. "Lies!" the guard spat. "This is no place for you. You think you can stand against us? You'll be crushed like every other worm under our boot." Her heart raced. There was a fire in the faces before her, and it ignited her own. "We are not worms. We are mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. You think you can take everything? You don't know how hard we'll fight, how hard we'll love." In that moment, something shifted. The rallying cry resonated deep within, and she felt the rebels gaining momentum, their fear replaced with something fierce. "Charge!" A voice rang out somewhere near her as a few rebels surged forward, their hands grasping whatever they could find. The air thickened with smoke and tension. The guard leader laughed, a cruel sound that threatened to engulf her spirit. "You think you are brave? You'll regret this." But she knew it wasn't bravery, it was survival. And she was ready to fight not for herself, but for her children, for every person who had been wronged. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught her eye. A child, no older than 8, darted past her and shoved a crude weapon, a metal pipe, into the hands of a nearby rebel. Gasps rippled through the group. The innocence of youth had ignited a spark of courage, powerful enough to shatter their fear. "Together!" she cried, her voice carrying through the dust and chaos. "We stand as one." At once, the rebels surged forward, a wave of strength building within them. The guards were taken off balance, their confusion bubbling into chaos as they tried to regroup. But it was too late, the tide had turned, screams echoed around them, a harsh blend of defiance and despair. She pushed forward, her heart hammering against her ribs. It felt raw, like each beat was shouting for freedom, as she darted between rebels, her hands shaking with adrenaline. Outside, the night sky roared with thunder as if reacting to the pulse of the battle. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of her children. They were standing together near a broken window, eyes wide with fright, but also with admiration. "Mom!" her son shouted, waving frantically. The momentary rush of panic gripped her, but then she remembered. She was fighting for them. And with it, the thrill of her involvement ignited like an explosion in her stomach. She couldn't fail them. "Stay close!" she yelled back, her voice steady and booming. "Whatever happens, I love you." As the rebellion pushed forth, she turned outward, ready to face whatever was coming next. But just then, she stumbled, something cold and metallic glinting in the corner of her eye. Looming behind the chaos, a figure emerged from the shadows holding a detonator, the grin on his face saying it all. "Too late to run now, isn't it?" Fear twisted her stomach into knots, but defiance burned. Were they truly out of time? Or could they fight back against this last horror? The final clash would echo long past midnight, a bittersweet promise wrapped in uncertainty. Would they weather this storm, or were they racing toward ruin? The detonator glimmered like a malevolent star in the shadowy chaos, its owner standing firm, confidence radiating from him. The air thickened, and an overwhelming silence filled the room, as if time momentarily held its breath. Mothers clutched their children closer, rebels exchanged frantic glances, and tension strung tighter than a bowstring. "Get out of here!" the mother barked to anyone within earshot. There was a storm brewing behind her voice, a warning that ignited a frantic energy in the crowd. She pushed forward, desire and duty fueling her every step. The guards' laughter echoed, a hollow, cheerful sound amidst the dread, striking a heavy chord. "What do you think you'll do? Run? Hide?" Her heart thundered in her chest, but anger propelled her. "You think your threats will work? We've nothing left to lose." She closed in on the figure, desperate to shatter his hold on the moment. Around them, chaos erupted again as rebels sprang into action. The first clash erupted with a thud, and cries filled the air, mixing with the thunder outside as if each growl of the storm mirrored their rebellion. The guard stood unmoving, amused, steadfast in his twisted superiority. Seizing a chance, a young woman charged forward, swinging a makeshift weapon, a broken chair leg, desperately seeking to disarm him. The guard caught her wrist, a cruel smile looming over her face as he twisted her arm, throwing her back. She landed hard, a stunned gasp escaping her lips. The mother's chest tightened at the sight. She felt her courage slump under the weight of helplessness. But then her son's small figure appeared, darting through the tide of rebellion, eyes wide yet focused. He was not afraid. Nothing would steal that bravery away from him. "Mom!" he yelled, urgency woven into his tone. We need to do something. Trust me. She shouted, her voice filled with a fierceness she hardly recognized. She motioned toward the looming figure and, as if pulling a thread that held her family together, she felt herself unravel in an unexpected realization. This wasn't just her fight, this was theirs too. Grab the kids. She shouted over the din, find something, anything to fight with. As one of the elder rebels fought back against a guard, her daughter seized a broken piece of glass, holding it with a mix of fear and determination. Mom! The girl cried, what do we do? Follow my lead. We fight together. Just then, the guard's laughter pierced her thoughts again. You think this will do you any good? You're nothing without your pitiful shelters. He pressed the button on the detonator slightly, a gesture filled with menace, and the flicker of fire in his eyes sent daggers through her resolve. Here's the truth. She yelled back, fiery and unyielding. You've sown the seeds of our strength by underestimating us. You think we're helpless? We're unbreakable. The words hung in the air, a mantra of defiance rallying behind her voice. A sudden burst of energy surged through the rebels. They mirrored her fire, raising their makeshift weapons, their voices growing into a roar. With resolve igniting, her rebellious son raced past her, a light of daring spirit. He was carrying a small spray can he de-pilfered moments before, ready to fight against what threatened their existence. What if I throw this? He asked, looking back at her with burning excitement mixed with childish fear. Do it. Aim for his feet. He launched the canister, the spray hitting the guard's feet and pooling like a sea, slick and dangerous. The guard, taken by surprise, stumbled for a crucial moment. That was all they needed. The rebels surged forward, a tidal wave of desperation and fury, pushed to the edge by the promise of freedom. But then, the ground shook, and the guard's voice thundered. Do you really think you can take what's mine? This is only the beginning. You have no idea what you're playing with. Her pulse quickened, sensing the dark weight hanging over them. Could they truly rally against such odds? Was the detonator just a bluff, or did they have mere seconds before everything changed irrevocably? Forward! She shouted, heart racing. We don't stop. As they pressed against the guards, the world tilted, and chaos fell into an intoxicating rhythm of battle. But just beyond the smoke and shouts, a new, unseen peril loomed. What would happen next? Could they overcome this titan and escape the grasp of despair? Would the bond of family hold together amidst the storm? The air crackled like a live wire, tension building, each breath heavy with defiance. The guard stumbled, regaining his balance just in time. But he was met with the fierce determination of the crowd, moving as one, their energy palpable, roaring like a storm just breaking free. Keep pushing. The mother yelled, emboldened as adrenaline coursed through her veins. Her heart was a wild drum, its rhythm syncing with the weight of their resistance. It wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about making a stand. For her children, and for every soul in the room, crashing forward, the rebels lunged at the guards. Fists and feet collided, limbs sprawling against the ground, desperate as they fought for their lives, for their future. The mother spotted her son fumbling beside her, gathering whatever shreds of courage and tools for battle he could grasp. Focus, she urged, kneeling beside him. You've got this. His eyes flickered with uncertainty, but her voice anchored him. He nodded and swept the area for anything at all. From behind him, a roar erupted. The young woman from earlier was back on her feet, driven by rage rather than pain. She yelled, attacking the nearest guard, and the tumult around them doubled, but the guard was no fool. He regained his composure and, brandishing the detonator like a trophy, shouted with a booming voice, "You think you can win? I'm just getting started." The detonator glinted in the flickering lights, a seductive reminder of their imminent peril. On it, a red light pulsed, each thump matching the pounding in her chest that sent chills through her bones. What lay behind that button? The unknown twisted her stomach in knots. "We need to distract him," the mother yelled to her daughter as she clutched her glass shard. "Keep him busy." Her daughter raised the shard, face set in fierce determination. "I can do that." The girl darted to the left, catching the guard's attention. It was a risky move, but that moment was all the opening they needed. The mother saw the hesitation in the guard's eyes as he turned toward the noise, a flicker of fear breaching his smug facade. She seized it. "Now!" she urged her son, with fierce bravery. He hurled the only object left in reach, an old, dented can, but the aim was slightly off. It smashed into the wall, higher than intended, forcing the guard to flinch but not to falter. The moment of opportunity surged forward again, and she charged toward the guard herself, fueled by a mother's insatiable will to protect. Ambushing him from behind, she grasped at the detonator, her fingers grazing its cold metallic surface. Emotion crackled within her, fear and fury interwoven. Just as she wrestled to seize control, a piercing scream cut through the chaos. Her daughter had miscalculated, the glass shard slipping from her grip, flying toward a guard who caught it effortlessly, smirking with vile satisfaction. "Is this what you call a fight?" he taunted, brandishing it. "Pathetic." "No!" the mother screamed, a primal roar fueled by despair. Suddenly, the ground shook again, not just from the chaos but from something deeper. The shudder snared everyone's attention, sending ripples of uncertainty through their ranks. A thunderous crash echoed from above, the ceiling groaned ominously. "Get down!" the mother yelled, pulling her children close. What was happening? The world felt like it was unraveling, as bricks began to tumble from the rafters. Dust and debris rained down, each piece a reminder that the battle was only half fought. Would resignation mix with rebellion? Would hope dissipate like the dust around them? The guard cursed, struggling to keep his footing, the detonator almost slipping from his fingers. In that heartbeat of a moment, everything stood suspended. One last push, one more chance. Together. She rallied, extending a hand to her children. "This is our fight." But in the haze of chaos, an unexpected figure lurked in the shadows, someone who could change everything. Could they rally against not just the guard but something looming much larger? What choice would they make next? Would they step into the depths of fate or retreat into the darkness? The room trembled, dust spiraling like a vortex of chaos, but the mother's heart filled with defiance. "Together!" she cried again, rallying not just her children but every soul in that room. This was their moment, their chance to rise above the fear, to forge their way into a future where humanity reigned. The guard's face twisted, uncertainty flickering in his cold eyes. "You think you can resist?" he sneered, tightening his grip on the detonator, but his confidence faltered as the growing surge of rebels closed in. The mother felt something shift as the weight of fear transformed into a collective strength they had never known. The walls thudded in response to the crashing debris around them, but the flames of resolve erupted anew. Her son, holding tightly to her hand, shot her a look brimming with the courage of youth. "Let us show them we're not afraid, Mom." His exuberance propelled her forward, even as worry gnawed at the edges of her heart. "That's right," she shouted, echoing the strength coursing through the crowd. "This isn't just about us, it's for our families, for every person who has ever been belittled or forgotten. We are the future." The words reverberated through the rebels, igniting their spirits. As the guard stumbled, she saw their chance. "Charge!" she called, issuing forth like a hurricane, arms wide in brave abandon. They surged collectively, a tidal wave of humanity against the fearsome guard with the detonator. In that moment, a flicker of realization washed over the guard's face. Panic surged in his eyes as the tide of rebellion rolled forward, and his voice faltered, "Get back." But it was too late, they were unstoppable. Her daughter pivoted, once again wielding her glass shard, finding her place among the chaos. The rebels moved as one, pushing forward to engulf the guard. "Let us do this together," the mother urged, wanting her children at the forefront of this moment, not just witnesses but actors in their own story. This was not just survival, it was liberation, each breath a victory born from the ashes of their fears. The guard's grip on the detonator slipped, a look of disbelief crossing his features. The power of their resolve turned the tide. With a final push, the rebels overtook him. In a cacophony of arms and outrage, he was wrestled to the ground, the detonator falling from his hand, clattering away like a dropped illusion. As silence descended upon the room, the air buzzed with energy, the uncertainty of the next moment pregnant with possibility. "Is everyone okay?" she called, scanning the faces around her. The rebels, slightly bruised but standing resolute, looked back at her with eyes that sparkled against the darkness. One of the younger rebels stepped forward, wiping dust from his face. "Let us push this fight outside," he proposed, voice steady with newfound confidence. With that, they began moving as a clan, the mother leading them toward the entrance, her heart a steady thrum of courage. As they burst through the broken doors, a rush of freedom engulfed them. Outside, the moon hung bright over the remnants of chaos. The streets were still scattered with rebels, a mosaic of humanity ready to be claimed by the dawn. Hand in hand, she turned to her children. "We did it. We stood together." A lump formed in her throat as she locked eyes with them, love flooding her spirit. They looked back at her, faces lit with hope and courage, the thrill of victory surging through every fiber of their young beings. Together, her son echoed, and her daughter nodded, their innocence blossoming into something far more profound than she could have ever imagined. As they merged into the crowd, she knew this was just the beginning. They had ignited something deeper than just rebellion. It was community, connection, love, and the unyielding will to fight for humanity. But even as this chapter closed, new paths opened. They would need to forge ahead, to stand for the change they so desperately wanted. And she vowed to ensure her children would always fight for what mattered. "Let us go make our voices heard," she shouted with triumph. In her chest, their laughter mingled with determination, echoing in the cool night air as they walked toward a horizon colored with endless possibilities. Now, don't forget, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this thrilling conclusion.